we are doing Mank by David Fincher, well, directed by David Fincher, and I believe written by his father, Jack Fincher. Um, Thank you for showing uh, Steam.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have popped up. Uh, anyway, as always, I'm your host, Daniel, with my father and co-host Jerry. Say hi, Dad.
Hello.
Um, obviously, this is kind of the story of the guy writing the first draft of Citizen Kane, at least allegedly. I think Orson Welles might have had a different story about that. I don't know exactly. They obviously didn't get along very well towards the end of it, and by the interview footage I believe we saw at the end.
Yeah.
So again, assuming all this is assuming I know David Fincher tends to not always in movies not always play fast and loose with the actual facts, which I really don't know too much about this. Uh, like I knew some of the basic stuff about Citizen Kane. I've obviously seen it a couple times. Great film that everybody should watch. But I found this movie really interesting. Uh, I liked it a lot, but I thought it should be more of a limited series or something than just a film because you have just so many players in it. I don't know. What did you think on that?
Well, I think that's true. I think they could have went into it a little bit deeper, and you got a better feeling for it. But they did do a pretty good job with the main character.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Gary Oldham, of course, played him, and the Manx, and the writer. I thought they could give us a little bit more on the girl,
Mm-hmm.
uh, or the female who was the one of
Yeah,
the yeah,
Amanda Seyfried or
TV.
Seyfried. I forget how her last name's pronounced. Yeah.
And and it becomes an interesting play. First of all, he's called Manx, and he's called Manx by everybody. His name is Mankiewicz,
Yeah.
of course. Uh, the uh, it has a lot of reference as to today,
Mm-hmm.
uh, especially its reference to socialism
Mm-hmm.
and Upton Sinclair and
Yeah.
how they portrayed him as a socialist.
Mm-hmm. Well, Upton Sinclair, in fairness, was a socialist, a self-admitted socialist.
Yeah,
Um, I don't think at the time there was like democratic socialist or communist, and obviously the movie makes it very clear that those are two different things, something that people don't understand. Or, I mean, one of the key things in the movie that, which I believe this was written in like 2004 or something,
yeah.
or I don't know exactly when it's written, but I know his father passed away well over 10 years ago. So this is something he's kind of had. Um, Jack Fincher, David Fincher's father, obviously wrote it.
And the the one of the things I found
Mm-hmm.
interesting when I was looking over the history of it
Mm-hmm.
was that this, of course, was a black and white film,
Mm-hmm.
and was done in the time in which Manx
Yeah.
wrote.
Yeah.
And Fincher actually had originally, when he first started up, wanted to do another black and white film, uh, which was the follow up to The Game.
Oh,
Uh,
the one with Michael Douglas.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
or no, the Game with Kevin Spacey and Jodie Foster,
Oh.
but it never came through
Mm-hmm.
because it was in black and white. He insisted on shooting in black and white, and here later he does do one
Mm-hmm.
that he insists on black and white. Of
Well,
course,
well,
Fincher is known for black and white.
yeah. Well, now I don't think Fincher will have any problems making anything he wants in
Yeah,
general.
yeah,
Uh, I don't know though. That's still. I mean, obviously, like I know we'd like, oh, Citizen Kane's the greatest time movie of all time, and look at all the problems Orson Welles had getting his movies made. Yeah, because his movie attacked Hollywood.
yeah.
Uh, and this one, well, it does attack old timey Hollywood quite a bit.
It attacks Hollywood. It attacks
Hmm.
the Hearsts,
Yeah.
who were big uh, print magnet,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm. It detects a lot what like went on in there and on that. Mm-hmm. But
the,
yeah, I found like it went like heavily into one of the things it to do is how the new media they used new media at the time, the film industry, to lie to people and make fake documentaries and stuff.
yeah,
Uh, I mean, one that was like clearly racist and everything, uh, which was I found
well,
that interesting and like
well,
very much aligned with today.
they tried to show that
Hmm.
Upton Sinclair was with the communists and the blacks,
Yes. Uh,
and
yeah, that was. I mean, you had it was also interesting that you had like very clearly you had the movie executives and the writers that were on two opposite end of political spectrums, but they were also talking about like how FDR is going to sort everything out with the banks and stuff, uh, even though and he wasn't this big bad socialist, which now a lot of people portray FDR as. Which, in fairness, he was. He had a lot of socialist programs, but I found that interesting. Again, it went back a lot to the idea that people didn't know what socialism was or things along that, or just a lot of misinformation about such aspects of politics and whatnot. Um, but I mean, and a lot of it, I mean, it did feel like in many ways. I mean, Citizen Kane obviously criticizes that and news media and stuff in general too. So it actually felt a lot with keeping of the themes of Citizen Kane.
yeah,
Which I also found interesting. I mean, obviously, it's shot in a way too. It's edited in a way to look very much of the time period. Obviously, the camera they use is much better. It didn't, so the black and white's much clearer and uh, looks like it's been touched up. But I mean, they even have like what the cigarette burns or whatever to show the change in film reels and stuff um, during it. All of
the
it, yeah.
they said that Dave Fincher,
Mm-hmm.
uh, his father wrote it actually in the 1990s.
Oh, 1990s. I thought it was in 2000s. No, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
okay, and that uh, well, that he was going to do it after he filmed the game, which never got through because he
Hmm.
wanted it to be in black and white.
Hmm.
And of course, his father died actually in 203,
Hmm.
and so he didn't get it. He announced he was going to do it in 2019,
Hmm.
and so it was actually on his table for a long time,
Hmm.
and but it was a
Hmm.
he very much made it tied to today, even
Hmm.
though it was a
Yeah.
much older movie. Look at
Hmm.
and shows that the same problems here are arising today than they were back then.
Yeah, that's one of the clear things. I mean, like I said, and I mean, his father still has a screenplay writer. I don't know if anybody. I'm sure that somebody touched it up, probably somewhat more modern to maybe somewhat relevant. I mean, but who really knows? They had a lot. I mean, uh, it also could have been like 300 pages, like the original Citizen Kane script, and he just cut a lot of it.
Yeah.
That would be it
Well,
would be kind of interesting to see that.
well, we already know. Probably
Mm-hmm.
Pitcher cut it himself. I mean, he writes a lot of his own stuff anyhow,
Mm. Uh,
or is at least is part of the writing of a lot of his
yeah,
own
I
stuff.
mean,
Yeah.
obviously, but no, and a lot of the movie, like the movie, really does still work really well. A
Yeah.
lot of it. I mean, its setup works. He's kind of going over the things. Uh, Even if you've only like seen Citizen Kane once or twice, you'll get a lot of it. Like I said, I do wish it would go more into the characters because, and I think this is a slight difference. Is in this one, they're very much real people, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of backstory to that stuff. while in Citizen Kane they're not necessarily. So
Yeah.
there's a lot less of that. You get, I mean, it's very much like I said in the movie. I liked how they kind of called him the court jester, and he kind of gave himself that role.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, but he kind of gave himself that role to kind of survive what he was doing.
Hmm.
Because as it starts off, it goes more and more downhill and becomes more and
Yeah.
more corrupt. But he's still, I mean,
Mhm.
you're kind of looking at the guy who's trying to stop it or get them to go back to how they were before.
Yeah.
I don't know how accurate this movie is to life, but um, it's very much kind of, and it's interesting because the changes are more destroying him, even though he's not changing, than it are is the other people, and you usually don't see that.
Yeah.
Like obviously, as it progresses, he becomes a more and more of an alcoholic.
Hmm.
Uh, he's a really bad alcoholic in it.
And he's a really bad alcoholic, but the alcoholic helps him to write,
Yeah.
and they make that clear in the movie.
Mm-hmm. He does his he does his best work while drunk.
Yeah.
But you, I mean, it is very like there's clearly like, and again, assuming this movie is accurate to life, it clearly parallels his life with the writing in Citizen Kane and how his character's kind of downfall and his downfall and everything, as well as what was going on and how close it actually was to what happened at the time, which was interesting.
Yeah.
And even it showed a bit for Orson Welles, kind of getting an ego about this and whatnot.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, the it doesn't put Wells in that great a light
No,
in the movie, and
well,
Wells, of course,
it doesn't
took
really put anybody in that great of a light.
no.
I mean, even like the girl Amanda Seyfried played, who's
Yeah.
his friend and everything,
Yeah.
and seems to somewhat be a voice of reason. Even he kind of like has a point in it where he realizes that she's just kind of vapid.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't want to go back because of her. She already made her exit.
Yeah.
Uh, Even though he's asking her to do one really important favor for him.
Hmm.
Uh, you had obviously like some of the people that some of the things that happened destroyed, and the one guy that committed suicide and stuff.
Yeah.
And like I said, I do wish it kind of got more into this, which is why I think it might have been a bit better if it was a much longer movie, or if it would have been a mini series.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I was really interested in it,
Hmm.
which is the strength of this
Yeah.
movie.
And the I think that he told a good story, especially because it's all being flashed back.
Yeah, I mean, it's very
And
similar to Citizen Kane, though. It's
yeah.
all flashbacks and. Mhm.
And somewhat, I wish they'd have made more references to Citizen Kane so you could see,
Yeah.
because you're listening to a part that he's writing,
Mm-hmm.
and you remember that from Citizen Kane,
Mm-hmm.
but uh, I mean, somewhat the film is a lot better to people who have watched Citizen Kane,
Yeah, that's actually
or we've seen it several times actually.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's actually my big problem with the film is I don't know like if you haven't seen Citizen like if you've seen Citizen Kane, it makes it a tremendously better movie, I think.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, like something about writing about like a writer that wrote something, or especially something like this that was clearly written. Like in this one, it's clearly he's telling a story about his life with
Yeah.
Citizen Kane. Uh, Albeit he's not obviously. I don't even know if he's really represented as a character. I guess he might be represented as the character as the friend of Kane who's like talked about how we represented the truth originally and whatnot at one point. But uh, it felt like that they might have should have shown probably some clips of Citizen Kane or something or like how he'd see it in his head as it goes
Yeah.
on. Um, like I said, I feel like really this is a movie I really wouldn't recommend people watching unless they've seen Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
And I feel like even somebody like me that kind of knew some of the history in Citizen Kane, it would have been much better if I knew more of the history of the time period and stuff of the movies. Uh,
Well, the thing is that
mhm,
Citizen Kane
mhm.
is much like this movie. It's odd.
Yeah, it has some. Well, I mean, it's very odd for the time, obviously. I mean,
Right.
I think what was it? But I mean, it's very unique for the time, but it doesn't. I, mhm. And I don't know how that is. Like, I feel like this movie was very much made for film buffs, is what I should say. Uh,
Yeah.
but not even like the normal film buffs. I mean, the really, really big ones. Uh, and that's not to say I think most people that would see it would enjoy it.
Oh yeah.
Um, but because it is kind of an interesting history lesson too. And I mean, it obviously talks a lot about. There's clearly stuff that's reference to a lot of the issues of modern day. Uh, so it's interesting. What I found interesting, like I said, uh, obviously a big thing of it has to do with how like him betting with uh, like uh, I kind of lost my words there, but even though it does represent a lot of Citizen Kane and looking at how like the events in his life made it, I do think it's still a very much a character study of Mank, the
Yeah.
main character, uh, and how like he's somewhat like even at the end of it, he's still somewhat of an idealist.
Mhm.
Even at like he's still betting, he still bets a huge amount of money, knowing he's going to lose with the guy over whether or not he'll win
Mhm.
the California governorship. He
Yeah.
still, when he finally does break down at the party, he's still like doing it to try to help the guy
Mhm.
who was clearly his friend at one point, which,
And,
which was interesting. Uh, and I think Gary Oldman has a really good shot at winning Best Actor of the Year in this role.
oh yeah.
Uh,
Uh, he's up against some good competition from
yeah.
the Chicago Seven, but
Hmm.
he did a great job in this one.
Hmm.
Uh, the
Hmm.
I mean, one of the things is that I don't think you ever get the idea of how big Banks was. I mean,
Hmm.
he was involved in, you
Yeah.
know, 40, 50 movies in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Uh, Writer, producer,
Hmm.
uh, most of them writing. A lot of his early career, he did a lot of the titles and stuff.
Hmm.
Uh, and uh, and also, I don't think the movie gives you the real
Hmm.
idea of of Orson Welles being this uh, real outsider, and of course, Citizen Kane
Hmm.
was a real outside movie, and they never figured that they'd win anything
Yeah.
as to Citizen Kane because Hearst was still alive, and
Hmm.
uh, you know, uh,
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff. I mean, there's famously, I think, like a scene where they're in a brothel that they put in
yeah,
hopes of like distracting them from some other things.
yeah.
Uh, Something people still do a lot today. Put in scenes that they know will get cut. I think Hearst actually did eventually talk about Citizen Kane too.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know what his opinion was it, but yeah, no. I think that was something that could have been slightly more examined, like just how big of a risk exactly it was to.
To make the movie.
Yeah.
Uh, and as I said, this movie sort of attacked Wells.
Hmm.
Uh, Wells I mean, even though he may have
Mm-hmm.
taken credit for the writing of it more than he did,
Mm-hmm.
certainly the way in which he filmed
Yeah.
Citizen Kane, he introduced a lot of
Mm-hmm.
new techniques.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, Citizen Kane is still an odd movie to see today.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's told in a way that's sort of different from what you would
Mm-hmm.
normally see.
Yeah.
And so it's a
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sorry, my chair broke again, so I've kind of been distracted with that for the past minute.
yeah.
Uh, uh, but yeah, and like everybody does a good job, and it has a big cast and everything, and it looks really nice. I mean, it's filmed and directed well and edited well. Um, but like, I definitely recommend it, but I say like you really need to watch Citizen Kane first.
And Citizen Kane's a great movie.
Yeah, no, it's a great movie, and it still like holds up really well today, and it's entertaining and is a good uh, thing. But like I said, again, I don't know. I just couldn't help but feeling throughout this entire thing is that it would be better if it was a miniseries
Mhm.
or something. And I know like that really wasn't around the time when this was written. They weren't doing like miniseries or
Yeah.
limited series or whatever they call them now. But and it's just because there's so much you could explore in it. Uh, in that time period and stuff and what was going on and because you have the time period that like I said, obviously you have the depression going on, then you have World War II, and then you have the short period of time after World War II that they kind of let the movies exist before they broke them up as monopolies,
Yeah.
uh, as well as you had like the different like studios like taking political sides at that time.
Mhm.
um, which you do see a bit in this,
Yeah.
hmm. But I don't know. I definitely say give it a watch. It's pretty
Yes.
good.
It's a good movie.
Hmm.
It will get nominated for a few Academy Awards.
Oh yeah, I think it. I mean, it will. I mean, just because David Fincher did it means it will probably get nominated for Best Picture and Director and stuff. But it should also. It's
Yeah.
not.
And it's also about Hollywood. And
Yeah, which is something they like.
Hollywood tends to like itself. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it will win. I shouldn't say that. I don't think it's David Fincher's Best Picture.
Hmm.
I don't know if it will win or not. It could.
Yeah.
David Fincher has deserved to win Best Director for a long time.
Hmm.
Uh, but uh,
Yeah. The and as you said that I think that there is a great chance of Olden
mhm.
getting a nomination. There might be a couple of supporting nominations.
Yeah, well, I think Amanda Seyfried or whatever her name.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
sorry if I'm slaughtering her name. Has a really good chance at Best Supporting Actress, and
Hmm.
mhm.
And yeah, it's so it will be in one of the runs,
Mhm.
especially since there's not that many
Yeah,
many movies out right now, and of course we don't know what's coming out during the Christmas season,
hmm
but the and this is a good movie to see on the television.
hmm
Uh, I mean, you can get a lot out of it on television just like you could in a big screen.
yeah.
And
hmm I don't know. Uh, I don't know if Fincher said anything about how Warner Brothers is doing both on streaming and
mhm,
because I know a lot of directors have recently
yeah,
that whole Warner Brothers thing. I don't know.
mhm,
I can see being mad at it, but
yeah,
I think that's like a whole discussion for another time.
yeah.
Hmm but I
The,
think that about wraps it up. I don't have anything else to say on this one. Do you?
no, I do not.
Okay, yeah. So definitely go watch it, and if you haven't, see Citizen Kane. I shouldn't have to tell you that.
Mhm.
Okay, well, bye everyone.